Okay, well, here we are. We are ready to disassemble what I'm thinking of as the dreaded front window. So this window is actually 3 panes. The center pane opens. This window is still operational, so you can see that it does still open, and the side panes are fixed. Now, this came out of a front kitchen model, so when you're actually looking at this window, let me slide it down, hopefully you can see this. This pane doesn't really look at anything except for a wall inside, because the front kitchen has like a little room, a closet maybe, or a little toilet room, whatever you want to think of it as. And so this window actually looks at the water tank, is what it's actually looking at. There's a piece made in there to hold that up. So you really won't see out of this when after everything's done, but we still want to make sure everything's done correctly. The former owner of the trailer pushed a curtain all the way back in here so that you would just see the curtain from the outside, which is probably what I'll do, unless I would decide to go with tinted glass in this front one, which I have thought about doing. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm just going to make sure that my window's positioned here so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So here again, just like all the other windows, the opener mechanism goes straight through the screen, and we need to unscrew that with 2 Phillips screws, and we're going to take those off and set those aside back here. And here again, that should allow this to come loose. And I'm not really sure how this is going to work. See, this is this one here is a tad bit different than the other ones. So it's also stuck. But we can slide this forward and out, I believe, even though we're stuck in there a little bit. Okay, oops, still stuck a little bit there. And let's see, I should be able to push that up, and now that should come out of there. There we go. I think it's coming up out of there now. There it is. Okay. Actually, this mechanism happens to be the most complete of all of them, so I'm going to show you this. It looks like it has this plastic piece on the end here, and a little spring there, right inside there. So none of my other windows had this piece on it, so I'm going to be sure and save this so that hopefully I can find this piece to put on all the other windows. If not, we'll have to come up with a way to do that. So we'll put this one here aside as well. So now the screen here is just held in with clips, and now the screen can be easily removed, and this will be quite easy to put a new screen in, and we'll just set this aside for now. Okay, and now we see these little clips here for the screen. We're just going to take those off, and I'm afraid that if I don't take those off, that I'm going to end up breaking them or bending them, and hopefully I won't do that in the process of taking them off here. And oh, look there, a little nest. Okay, here's that one, and here's this one. I do not know if these are available, so we will guard those. Excuse me. And hopefully if we can find those, we'll replace them. If not, well, then we'll just have to try and reuse them. All right, so now we have this part open, and we can see here this gasket material, is actually what is holding this glass in, which has been replaced with plexiglass like many of the other ones. And so what we'll do here, and we'll just get that out of the way. Let's take this off. Remember, on this center rail, the wide part goes towards the top of the window, and that's the same as all the rest of the windows. The wide part goes at the top. So we'll just unscrew these Phillips screws here. And we'll take this out of the way. This is kind of a little awkward here to work on. We're knocking a few things over here in the shop while we're doing this. Put the screws back here. And knocked over my pencil can. But that's okay. Alright, so now we want to go ahead and see how this gasket comes out of here. Which I'm not sure, but it's looking like we can pry this out like this and possibly just pull it out now. And that's what it's looking like. Now exactly how this will go back in is anybody's guess, but this is how we're pulling it out. And you can see how it was in. This piece was towards the window. This was back up in underneath this channel here. Okay, and this side was down towards the glass there. Okay, we'll lay that aside. Now we have this one here, and we'll attempt to do the same thing. And this one is not coming out as easily. So, fortunately, this is old plexiglass, and we're just going to snap it right out of there. And if it was good glass I was trying to save, a different story. But, you know, that's old plexiglass. We're just going to get rid of that. So now we're just taking the old gasket material out. I am holding on to this old gasket material. I am not going to throw that away until after the window is rebuilt. Once it's rebuilt, then we'll go ahead and discard that. And you can see around here that it looks like there's some old, some sort of adhesive there. It's the way it looks. And we'll clean that up then later on. I want to move on to the other windows now. The other windows, they look a little bit more challenging. I'm going to slide this down this way in hopes that you can see this. We can see that there's something here right around here that they tried to, boy, seal all that in with. And I'm not convinced that that's the actually right way to do this window. So we're just going to break all this out. I don't know if I tried to pull this window out, if it will just come out or not. But and I have to question too, seeing it like this, I wonder if there's pieces missing, because I can't imagine that it was done like this from the factory. This kind of looks like a handyman special job. And I know from looking at the back side that there are some screws. Let's turn it over. I'm sorry, it's not in this side. It's actually in this side. We see these screws in here. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I don't know if that was something added or if that might be factory. And when we get to that side, we'll figure that out. So we'll push all this aside here, and we'll see what else we have here maybe to break this out with. I don't think the screwdriver is going to work the best. Maybe the gasket peeler here. That's not working too good either. Some of this is it's really stuck in there. So, but you can see what they did to try and seal this window, which I can tell you from the water damage in the trailer, didn't work. And let's just slide down this way, because I think I was probably out of your view there. And boy, this is just some tough stuff, but you can see it was all cracked up, and it just really wasn't providing the seal that it needs to. I can tell you from my experience with other trailers, front windows in trailers, boy, they're a tough seal. Especially the kind like this one that's a jalousie window that opens. And I had one trailer that we just could never get the window sealed in it. And the trailer wasn't that old. It was a tiny trailer, so it was, you know, a nice size. And we thought, boy, this is a great trailer here. And we never could. I worked on it many times. I actually had a dealership work on it. Nobody could get it sealed. Finally, the dealership recommended that we just caulk it shut. And that's what we ended up doing. And we used it that way for a few years. And it didn't leak after that. But there again, you couldn't open the window anymore. So it kind of defeated the purpose of having the window. And in a small trailer, I do like that ventilation. You know, so it's kind of defeating the purpose. So we do want to try and get this window operational and sealed up the way it should be, and only time will tell if we can actually get that to happen. So here again, this is loose on this side, and maybe we'll just turn it over here and see what we can do here. I don't want to bend my frame, of course. There we are. There we go. It's popping out now. And see what we have up here. Pop that out maybe. It's still not coming out too well. See if we can pop this out here. Gotta watch, we don't want to, you know, crack this and have it fly up and hit us or anything. Let's try that little screwdriver in there to hold that up. There we go. Try and pry that up out of there. Which, you know, you're dealing with something this age, and someone tried to fix this the best way they could, and there we are. So that's broken out. We will save that. I don't know if it's an accurate size or not, but we will save it, and I will end up marking it with a marker as to which side it came out of so that we know. But for now, we're just going to set that one aside. So all right, so we can see how this is all. This needs a lot of cleaning up and a lot of work, so I won't bore you with that today. But at least we got the one side out, and we got the center out. Center's ready to go, and then we'll take the other side out, get the entire frame all cleaned up and prepped and ready to go. Then we'll use the chart that I spoke to you about on my last video, our chart here. And while this window is not pictured, we might be able to find out using this and our samples from Mike over at MTRV Repair as to what gasket materials and how this window is supposed to be sealed and watertight. And that's all we have for now, so I wish you well, and I'm going to continue on with the disassembly of the front window of the 64 Scotty Front kitchen. Oh, I just noticed this. I'll point this out. Right here at this bottom, we do have a number stamped in here. It does start with her and then has a long number, so I am guessing that has to do with a model number of this window. So that might be useful in finding the gaskets and parts that we need for this window. All right, now I bid you well.